Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.
Hi, everyone. Good health, everyone. How are you doing today? Let me just see, do a mic check. Mic check. Let me just see, do a mic check. Mic check. I do seem kind of low today. Mic check. I do seem kind of low today. Okay, good. I guess I just need to talk up. How is everyone doing? So, first, I want to tell everyone that there is a wonderful new moon that's coming up. Let me see when it's coming up. The Aquarius. Turn this down. Let me see when it's coming up. All right. Let me see. Very important that we know these things. Oh, let me take a screenshot because that's just going to be easier at this point. There's a new moon. Wait, what? Oh, good. Okay, coming up February 9th at 5:57 p.m. Eastern. 5:57 p.m. Eastern at, I believe, 5 hours to get London time. The new moon is in Aquarius, and by February 9th, the sun will be in Aquarius. So this is double Aquarius energy. So I just want to make sure that people begin to understand astrological events because it matters. It matters. During the last moon, the fire Leo full moon, a lot of arguments came out of the fire new moon. Ironically, the same thing can occur because Aquarians are opposite Leos, which means they have sarcastic tongues. Okay? And the difference between Leo and Aquarius is if Aquarius says something, they don't give a shit. They're going to be, well, very much like Sagittarius energy. The difference between Sagittarius and Aquarius, however, is that Aquarius does and says what they say for you to figure it out and change. They're not trying to hurt you. Sagittarius don't mind if they hurt you. They don't have it in them to say something nice. They can learn, but that's not their organic nature to do. But Aquarius will say something so big, so but it'll be an honest statement, true and true. So with all that being said, I want everyone to be mindful that if you're working every day and if you're in a relationship, this is not the time to create arguments, even if you are right. Because a new moon could create separation, which most people don't know. It's dissolving energy. So you could begin an argument almost like in Mercury retrograde and not recognize that you may be releasing yourself from an energy, or you might even say, I don't care, I don't care. Okay, say that and the universe will agree with you. Now, what does that have to do with the book? Absolutely nothing. It has nothing to do with the book. I just wanted to prep you all. A lot of mistakes are being made out there. And so let's consciously stop making these mistakes. Consciously. All right? That means if you're going to be a metaphysical person, less gossip. Now, I'm not one to lie to you. I love to hear gossip. I never repeat gossip. I don't go to you for the gossip. If gossip comes to me, I'm all ears, child. I'm like, what happened? What else did she do? Oh, girl. Beyond that, you'll never hear me repeat somebody else's messes. I am a keeper of secrets. I've always said that. Even in my own personal situations, I don't repeat anything because I know it's so easy to slip up and ruin somebody. That's why I don't gossip. So I want you guys to figure out if that is your character. I want you guys to figure out that you're doing a disservice to your spirituality. And I don't know who I'm talking to out there, but I'm talking to somebody. Okay. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning, Creative Soul. Good health, Stacy, actually. Good health, Creative Soul. Good health, Mary Mitchell. Good health, Mother of Brats. Good health, Stephen. And good health, Lex Hall. How are you all doing? Okay. I discovered that the Company of Prophets is a series of stories of metaphysical meanings. We are starting with the children with power. And these stories have high degrees of spiritual energy, and she glazes over some stories. And I don't know why she does an in-depth thing that makes us go, or why she just mentions a couple of things. I don't know. Nor am I here to judge. I think that these stories allow us an opportunity to start confessing, to start being a part of a bigger picture, to be a part of a group that says, I astro travel, right? So whoever was lucky enough to get this outdated, outprinted book, I'm on page 6, and I did say that sarcastically. You know what I think, by the way, guys? I think this book purposely went out of print. I really do. I think she's a black woman. They gave a series of stories on black culture and black metaphysical events that could help black folks. Beautiful baby. Oh, how are you? Sending you love, good health, and gratitude. It's so funny. Beautiful baby. Oh, I was going through group meet, and so I was deleting some of the group members that hasn't responded in the group for a while. But but I looked at yours and I was like, I should just leave hers. So I left you on. So always remember that you are part of the group, okay? How's my baby doing? Did he turn 15 yet? And I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I know he's not the age I think he is. All right, so let's get started on these stories. I'm a little hot, so I'm going to find another place to sit down. Oh, thank you. Yes, I'll come back. Okay. If you come back to group, I'll send you a text message because someone else moderates the group. So I'll send you the text message so you can have that group number and you can talk to that person and get that group number. Okay, but no rush, no rush. You know me. You know, for me, metaphysical people have to move at their own pace, and I don't know what that pace is, child. Please give me a little bit. I'm just trying to get situated here. Got my coffee, got my water, got my phone in case there's a vocabulary I don't understand. All right. That would be wonderful. I appreciate you. I know you do. Beautiful baby oil. Oil. Beautiful baby oil. That's why I didn't take you out the group. Like there were just some things you intuitively feel. And I know you're just a busy mom trying to do busy mom things. So I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna take her out. All right. Are we good? Oh, wait, let me get the air on me. I moved my location because in the morning I do my work from the back. But I don't want to be back there on a beautiful Sunday morning. So I'm in my living space, living room, and the sun beats down for a couple of hours, and then it disappears for my section. All right, we're on. Did I say page 6? All right, let's do page 6. This is Bob. Bob. Hi, Sylvester. Good morning. How are you? Hi, Black Coffee, No Queen. Uh, no cream. Lord have mercy. All right, let's start with Bob on page 6, whoever has the book. For a year after she died, Bob's aunt appeared to him from time to time in his family's kitchen. He was then 7 or 8. Another spirit, a guide, had come shortly after the death to help him. I missed a lot of unpleasant things by following what Spirit told me, Bob now says, looking back. The guide directed him not to go down certain streets, saving him from encounters with bullies and loose dogs. He became able to control dogs which dashed toward him. When they came within a hairbreadth, they could advance no more, and he could walk away. He was so well oriented by spirit that he never got lost in all of his childhood meanderings, first through the streets of Memphis and later through the streets of Chicago, that other children or adults get lost and mystified. Now, an adult whose occupation is in sales, Bob Edward lives in Los Angeles. His psychometric gift is strong. He picks up vibrations from an individual's possessions and receives mental pictures of that individual's current circumstances. In his psychic work, he finds lost articles, animals, and people. He is assisted in his readings by his inner voice and a male spirit guide. You know, I'd love to do a meditation one day so you could find out the name of your spirit guide. Years ago in my 20s, when I was first entering into the metaphysical world, and I was taking classes for 2 years, I was taking classes. It was the best step I had ever made, and back then the classes were $500 for the season, and the season could be 4 to 6 months. But you learn so much witchcraft. It was the greatest event ever. And the reason why I was learning witchcraft is because in the black community, there was no such thing as company of prophets. everyone denied their gifts or tried to stop you from using your gifts. So I never had a black seer or a black goddess or a black god to go to. And if there were those that did it, they were on the streets of Harlem, living in some of the most raggediest places, and I wasn't trustful of going into people's basically storefronts or basically homes and then trusting them with my spiritual future. I always thought that if you can't take care of the elegance of your home or store, you can't take care of me. So if I went into a store, be it even a Santeria store, and the person spoke English, but there was too much dust around, I would assess that. I would assess that. And I would decide that if you could work around this much dirt and this much dust, I can't trust you with my money. And I certainly will not trust you with my future. So back in the day, y'all are lucky because all y'all got to do is go on YouTube, go on IG. You have a plethora of gypsies, Stryagas, the Italians, um, plain old white folks, black folks of the abundance now. Although I'm really proud for the lineup of black folks that are showing up in the metaphysical world. And now, in a modern age, you all get to choose. You all can just, all you have to do is open up your IG page, hashtag psychic, and you're going to get a list of people. By the way, I really want to say that if you are a black psychic, call your name out for Black History Month. Black psychic, black medium, black, 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 black. Call your name out. Just put hashtag black psychic, hashtag black medium, whatever. We just need to know that you exist, and I'm sure there's a plethora of people I have no eyes on, and I think we need eyes on each other. So I say that to say, because ultimately Bob moved into his gifts and uses psychometric, and psychometric is the gift of holding something in your hand and getting feelings. Now, that's a really good class to invest in. Really good. And I'll tell you how you can do it. I don't know if pawn shops are still open anymore. Where I live, there's no such thing as pawn shops. But there are thrift shops, right? And test yourself. Go into but a pawn shop is, you know, I think a pawn shop is um, gives off more energy because most people go to the pawn shop because they have to, which means you're going to get a better story in terms of their emotions. Go into a pawn shop and hold something. Could be a scarf. Does not have to be a piece of jewelry, which most people would believe. Sit in a chair and give yourself a moment to breathe and see what images come to you. It's not going to work right away. For some of you, you may get flooded with images, but that would be another way of practicing your psychic development by holding. And the other thing that's important is you don't need to know the whole story. You don't need to validate what impressions you receive. You're practicing. You just need to receive it and trust it and move on. Because then there's going to come a time and you're going to ask to do something specific. And as long as you've been practicing, you could hold something and you'll be able to get an impression. And you don't know by practicing in a way where it seems so silly, but you don't know if you're going to wind up holding on to a piece of material of a child that has disappeared. And will you be able to see if they have passed on or if they're still here? So, this is just a little secret form of divination. Have fun with it, document, keep it moving. And of course, if you want to share any of your psychometric stories with me, just contact me. Just email me at tracybrownlive.com. Let me put that up for you guys. Uh, tracybrownlive at Gmail. I gotta fix that. All right? And let me know how you've been testing yourselves and making yourself develop. Next story. Almost 50 years later, Dorothy still tells this story. She was fervently insists even today that she knew nothing about the outcome of a prediction spoken through her teenage body, except that it was revealed within a voice and vision. There was a girl in school, Clara, kind of a fast kid. She used to pick at me all the time. Her desk was behind me. One day she hit me on the shoulder. Dot, do you know what? I'm going to a party tomorrow night, me and my friends. And I know you wish you could come. I know you wish you could go. And I know you can't go because your mama don't let you go nowhere except to school and back home. She was picking on me like that, trying to make me feel real bad. Just sat there and I looked at her. All of a sudden, I could see this blood coming out her face. At the same time, a voice was telling me, tell her don't go. I had to say to Clara, don't go to the party. At Dorothy's entreaty, Clara tactics changed from razzing to railing. You can't tell me what to do, and you sure ain't my mama. Compelled by the voice, Dorothy continued, if you go to that party, I see you getting hurt. Unnerved, Clara laughed uneasily and walked away with her friends. That girl is crazy, Dorothy heard her say as they left the classroom. 3 days later, Dorothy's teacher sent to her principal. A detective and a police officer were there with him. The principal asked me what I had said to Clara on Friday, and I told him. The confused and frightened 13-year-old struggled to tell why she said Clara shouldn't go. She was not yet familiar with the language pertaining to psychic phenomena. So all she could say is something told her to give her the message. Reproachably, the principal disclosed that Clara was in a hospital. At the party, someone had cut her with a razor. The consensus amongst the adults was that Dorothy knew something about it. Denounced as uncooperative, Dorothy was suspended from school, only to be readmitted after the bishop of her church intervened. She remained a student for one more year, leaving when she reached the 8th grade. The bishop told them they better not expel me no more, and they didn't. But they would watch me in a particular way. It felt funny. So I quit and took a place on the job, staying in with white people. Prophesizing was Dorothy's strongest childhood gift. But relaying prophetic communication from the spirit world has caused her upsets prior to the incident at school and would cause upsets in the future. Nevertheless, the Chicago girl was often moved to share spiritual pronouncements with others in her well intentioned but blunt way. At home, there was a constant collision of wills between Dorothy and her mother over the girl's prophesizing. Her mother, a member of the Methodist Church, urged Dorothy to stop the nonsense through verbal and physical reprimands. So you know this little girl got hit. Intent upon helping, and despite harsh punishments, Dorothy continued to relay messages to the disapproving parents all through her childhood. An only child, Dorothy was the survivor of a set of twin girls. And looking back on her share of childhood camaraderie, she comments, I mostly say to myself, I didn't have no sisters, no brothers, no nothing. I wanted to play with kids, but they didn't want to play with me. They acted funny with me, so I just stayed to myself. But one friendship from childhood she recalled, a secret one. Soon after she moved to a new house with her mother and stepfather, Dorothy met a white man. Every night at 12 o'clock, this man would come through the back door and get me out of bed. He would be dressed in a tuxedo and a white shirt, black bow tie, and tall black hat. Sounds like Abe Lincoln. He would take me by the hand to the backyard and set me in a swing. My stepdaddy made for me. I would go with him because I thought he was human. He would talk to me. He told me he had a lot of money, but not to tell anybody. I was about 9 years old at the time, and I said I wouldn't tell. He made me a promise. Here I am thinking he's human because he looks human. I didn't know he was spirit. He told me the money was right beneath where I was swinging in a tin box, and that it was for me and nobody else. My mama got up one night and she had to go right by my room to go to the bathroom. She missed me. I wasn't in bed. I could hear her calling my name, but I couldn't answer. Finally, when I came to myself, I said, Mama, I'm out here with, when I said with, I looked around and there wasn't a soul out there. So my mama took me in and beat me because she thought I was just out in the backyard at 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh, how she whipped me. Mama, I wasn't out there by myself. The man was out there with me. She sure enough with me then. So I had to tell her. I had to break my vow. So I had to tell her about the money underneath the swing. Oh no. Dorothy's stepfather and a few friends dug under the swing to search for the money. They struck the box at the place pointed out by Dorothy. But as they reached for it, the surrounding earth collapsed and the box sank. A fear inducing aura permeated the evacuated area, disturbing Dorothy's father so much that shortly thereafter he moved the family again. Ordained in a spiritual church at 14 with a gift being fully recognized, Dorothy prophesied from the pulpits of that period in her life. Dorothy deserves, as Dorothy observes, I was at church more than at home. The minister of the church, counselor, and healer, Dorothy Hall, lives in Chicago, where she was born. The stories are kind of choppy, but I I'm learning to appreciate the methodology in the language. Hi, hi, Sky. Sky says, "Good morning, beautiful souls." Oh my goodness. Lisa, beautiful rising. Tracy and everyone. Hi, Lisa. So, has anyone ever prophesied when they were a kid or a young adult? I remember working at the hospital, and I was in my early 20s. And the hospital was doing some renovations. So we had to move people out of their rooms and put them in the center of the hospital floor because they were doing some major renovations. But like most hospitals, they were not about to lose um, patients. So it was my job, as what was called back then a unit manager. It was my job to go through the rooms and make sure the patients had everything they needed, right? So each room was equipped with items. I was supposed to make sure all those items were there. And because I'm such a friendly person, I could never go in and not speak with the patients. And I remember one lady who room I went behind the curtain because that's how the rooms had been set up and designated. And she was going in for heart surgery, but it wasn't major. But back in the day, 20 years ago, there was less, there was more invasive surgery, right? So a lot of cutting, 40 years ago. And I went to one woman, white woman. She had a daughter-in-law and a granddaughter. And her husband, her son, who was in the military, she was supposed to go for the surgery. She wound up being on a unit way too long. She hadn't stayed there for 3 days. And on the third day is when she revealed how ugly she was and how much she hated her daughter-in-law and how she blames her daughter-in-law for her son's death. The military killed her son, not the daughter-in-law. That she had confessed to me. And so by the third time I was speaking with her is when I got the vision. And I said, I didn't say it, but the vision that I got was, you're not allowed to come back after the surgery, right? So I just looked at her. And I'm young, right? So I don't know what to do. I don't know how to tell this woman, you're about to die, right? So I just kept looking, stunned of the information I was getting, completely stunned. And I kept getting, if she lives, she will make the daughter in law miserable. And I was like, oh my God. You know how you look at someone and you know their future? I don't know if anybody's done that. This is my life. You know their future, but you also know you can't get them to not have the surgery, and it's a heart issue. So she was either going to die on the operating table or she was going to die eventually, right? This wasn't like this young lady, Dorothy, that she could hopefully save someone. Like, Spirit didn't say, tell her. Spirit was like, oh, you ain't got to worry about her. She is not coming back. Because they would go off. I was in ICU, so they would come to ICU, be prepped, go off, come back for the most part. But her operation kept getting delayed, right? So she had been there. 2 days too long, right? Just to get the operation. And she gets word comes for her to get the operation. I go into her room that day, and I guess she was comfortable because then, or maybe she knew she was gonna die, but she just spewed out all of this ugly. And I just looked at her in shock, and I was like, how can anyone go under the knife and be this damn ugly? And I felt bad for her. I remember thinking, who wants to be you? Do you want to be you? I remember thinking all of this, but just stunned, like saying nothing. My face was expressionless. When Spirit came in, and Spirit was like, oh, she's not coming back. And I'm still just looking at her, and she's just, yomp, womp, womp, womp. And Spirit told me, no, she would be horrible to her daughter-in-law. And I just looked at her, and I said, okay, ma'am. I'm going to my own room. Blessings in your operation, but I'll see you when you get back. Because I didn't believe Spirit. Who comes in and tells somebody somebody's going to die? So I was like, I'll see you when you get back. That woman never got back. Never. And so it was about 2 days later, and I went to the nurses and I said, whatever happened to so and so? Now I can look in the computer, right? But also, if you look into the computer and it's beyond the scope of your job, you can get into trouble. So I just asked one of the nurses 2 days later. I was like, she was supposed to come back here. What happened to her? And it's like, oh, she died in post-op. Oh, okay. And that's when I realized Spirit is real on such a tangible level, like literally telling me somebody was going to die. And I was like, oh, okay. So comment below if you've had this type of experience and you're like, oh, was that uncomfortable? What was that? Let me see. Sky says, Sky says, I do that now. You guys are responding yes, but you guys know I don't remember the question if there was one. So I guess the question must have been, have you guys had this experience? And the answer is yes. I'm thinking. And Sky says, I realize I do that now. I'm the type of person that when spirit is there and real and tangible and I need something, first of all, spirit, don't be coming around me taking up my space. You got to pay rent. Now, I don't mind you being around me because when you're around, I really feel loved and protected. But y'all got to pay rent. So I always tell spirit, go out there and help me. You could stay here because I know loving energy when I feel it. But go get me the help that I need. And I never suffer because I always talk to spirit. And some of y'all are lucky. I don't tell spirit to go kick your ass. You're very lucky. I don't waste good energy. Nope, I don't waste good energy. And I don't play about spirit. So I don't use it for evil. And I could be mad as hell and I will not use my good spirits for evil. There's some demons out there, but I can't call them mine. Next story. Alpha, the first of 9 children, was raised from day one by her maternal grandmother. What a cute name, Alpha. Her mother was still in college, and the birth was a difficult one. Delivered prematurely, Alfred entered life with bronchitis and a film of tissue called a veil covering her head. I've never seen the veil. I have no idea what the veil is. And by the way, I don't believe the veil exists anymore with pandemic and galactic children. Her grandmother was an influential force in her life, whom Alpha studied closely. Although the older woman had not gone beyond the third grade in formal schooling, she worked intensely with her grandchild around studies. By 5 years old, Alpha could write a business letter, redone under her grandmother's tutelage until a certain level of perfection was reached. Heartened by the relationship she shared with her grandmother, the girl was inspired to speak out the companionship of elderly people. Now, who has done that? Who has done that? To this day, the elderly gravitates to me. To this day. I don't know why. I'm in the Caribbean and it still happens. The elderly gravitates toward me, and boy, do they take care of me. Not too many friends my age, right? Because I'm quirky, I'm kind of weird, and I say kind of weird things. I remember I was with my sister once. I said, Terry, look at all the butterflies. Massive. And then my sister and I went someplace else. I said, Terry, look at the butterflies. Look at them just coming across. And my sister looked at me and she says, I've never seen butterflies before in my life until you pointed them out. And I was like, oh, huh, okay. All right. Heartened by the relationship she shared with her grandmother, the girl was inspired to speak out the companionship of elderly people. Then, too, she was a child who didn't care for games much at all because they were win or lose, as she summarizes. Her psychic seems to have always been active in childhood, but in growing up, she recalls tending to push back the aspects of herself. Although none of these early intuitive experiences stands out, she remembers that as a child, sometimes her head would seem to open up and information flowing in, and that would smell flowers in the most unlikely of situations. There was also her ability to see ghosts and to smell death. Alpha Omega is her name, born in Aldrich, Alabama, is a longtime resident of New York City. She is now a teacher, a lecturer, and a healer. You guys are going to see moving forward that the end result in you being metaphysical is healing. Next story. More than once when sickness kept him home from school, Lee felt himself being observed by a figure in front of his bed, gazing down upon him. Piercing and loving eyes was a monk resembling St. Francis. Not frightened, the boy absorbed the love. He needed it. In his physical life, love was marked by his inadequacy. He was a lone child raised by a mother who expressed her unknown guilt to him in anger and blows. My God, does everybody get beat up in the metaphysical world? Lee was an adult when he described his unhappy childhood to Ruth Montgomery, who wrote of him in Threshold to Tomorrow. In the accounting, he spoke of his mother's physical and emotional abuse of him. She was protective, however, and provided well for his physical needs. Four half siblings older than he, whom he never saw during childhood, were legally removed from her custody. She abused them too. His father, whom he saw on a few occasions, he never really got to know. To others, Lee was a likable child, bright and talented, self taught musician who was playing the piano when he was 3. He had learned on a toy piano. He practiced whenever he could, having no piano at home. In a visit to a rest home when he was 12 or 13, Lee practiced on the piano there. Soon heard was a scouting sound, and in turning his head, he saw the elderly residents drag folding chairs near to listen to him. They flooded him with admiration, and he loved them back. During the years of grammar and junior high school, the boy regularly visited rest homes and convalescent hospitals, even after he had attained his own piano. Ruth Montgomery's spirit guide called Lee a walk in. Walk ins are idealistic but not perfected souls who, through spiritual growth in previous incarnations, have earned the right to take over unwanted bodies if their overriding goal is to help mankind. The original occupants vacate the bodies because they no longer can maintain the physical spark of life, or because they are dispirited that they earnestly wish to leave. Wait a minute, who ever heard of walk ins? That's new to me. I mean, I could see walk ins because I tell everyone that if someone commits suicide, they're done. They're just done. And maybe suicide can come in a form of perceived violence, like if someone is being violent and they think the only way out is to leave this earth, which is real to them. But most times it's just quiet souls that presumably have a great life, that look like they're happy, that wash their hair every day, that wears lovely outfits and lovely shoes, but is so depressed. And I don't know if anybody understands what it's like to be clinically depressed. You all might understand feeling depressed because something may have aggravated and brought that on. But when someone is born a certain way and doesn't share it and takes meds for it or doesn't take meds for it, like to live in that body is hell. And so whenever I hear someone committed suicide, my heart breaks. And my wish is that the suicide doesn't have to be violent. Like, I don't want to hear that someone jumped out a window, right? Because I feel like that's punishment. Like, you're giving yourself what you think people want you to have, punishment. Or someone takes their life with a gun. It's like I question the violence of the act, not the act. And I understand that this life is rough. Y'all know this life is rough, and half of y'all don't have problems. It's perceived, right? And it's justifiable because it's your problems. But half the times, it's manageable. And I didn't know that there was such a thing as walk ins that can allow us one soul to leave and another soul to enter and then finish finish something. You know, what was that movie? There were two versions of it, but one was Chris Rock, something from heaven or something like that. I guess that would be the type of movie that would be a walk in. Remember, they kept trying to find a body for him. Like they took him too soon, but his body was like mangled. Like, I can't put you back in your original body, but we'll find a body for you. Do you guys remember that movie? Yeah, Sky Watkins. What was the name of that? Chris Rock was in it. Something about heaven. I don't know where my phone is. I guess that would be an example of a walk-in. But how will we ever know that it's a walk-in, right? If one soul leaves, how do we find out that the new soul is a walk-in? We're not going to know. Heaven can wait. That's the name of it. Heaven can wait. And there's two versions of it. One was with a white man, but I can't remember his name, but I liked the first version. And the second one was Chris Rock, and I liked the second version. And very close. Both movies were very close to each other. Chris Rock was the remake. Ruth Montgomery Spirit Guide called Lee a walk-in. Walk-ins are idealistic but not perfected souls who, through spiritual growth in previous incarnation, have earned the right to take over unwanted bodies. Oh dear. If their overriding goal is to help mankind. Okay, I'm gonna give you another example. Like I feel like my mother walked in me, and I think people can walk in you temporarily, right? So I don't like butter pecan ice cream, right? Never did, never will. And I was already here in the Virgin Islands, which is I think how it's easy to walk in me because the island has different energy, right? And I decided to pick up butter pecan ice cream. And as I was picking it up, I remember saying, "Huh, it's my mother's ice cream. Like, why would I pick it up?" But not really saying why, just picking it up. I remember getting home and enjoying me some butter pecan ice cream. Maybe it wasn't my mother now that I'm thinking of it, because black folks love butter pecan ice cream. It might have been some other spirit. God knows. I'm loving butter pecan ice cream. Ate the whole pint, probably in one sitting, because I could do that. And then when I finished the ice cream, I realized what happened. And I remember saying to myself, fuck, fuck, somebody came in my body. I thought it was my mom, so I'm going to stick to it for the purpose of the story. And I said, Mom, you are never allowed to do that again. You are never allowed to come in. I am not inviting that kind of shit. Stay out my body, period. And I will never eat butter pecan ice cream ever again. Ironically, I kind of feel like some butter pecan ice cream right now. All right, but I won't get ice cream. The original occupants vacate the bodies because they no longer can maintain the physical spark of life, or because they are so dispirited that they earnestly wish to leave. Lee William Carnett Jr. changed his name to Count Carnett in adulthood. He contends he is not aware of that transition taking place, but being a walk in explains to him much about the early period of his life. After the revolution, after the revelation from Montgomery's guides, Carnett was told again that he was a walk in by a discarnate named Dr. Kaleo. In direct voice channeled through Carnett himself, the being told of how the transition was made when Carnett was less than 10 years old. From Dr. Kaleo's reading, as reported in Montgomery's book, it was one of the rare cases of a walk in entering the body of a child, but it was necessary because the boy was on the verge of a nervous breakdown or suicide. See? A concert pianist, composer, vocalist who performs intuitively, having no professional training. Count Cornett resides in Seattle, Washington, where he was born, performing traditional music and a type of music he describes as psychic. He tours the country giving recitals. From material in one of his recorded albums, the following quote is taken: I plan to work earnestly and faithfully as a worker of light, a blessing to those who would let music speak to them. My conviction is that the holy vibrations following through this music have the power to heal the sick, put an end to wars, and once again bring about peace to our planet on Earth. You know, I also wonder if walk ins can come through, you know, the Spanish culture, I think it's the Mexican culture. When a baby is born, they cover the baby. I don't know how long because it's not my culture, but all over California you see this. They when they go outside, they cover their babies in a blanket, not a little bit. They damn near suffocate these babies because the blanket of choice, I don't know if it's on purpose, is a thick blanket, and it does not matter if it's 100 degrees. If they gonna take a baby out, that baby gets covered. Their belief system is that the soul of the baby can get snatched. So now I'm wondering if there are near-death experiences with kids or people. Could a walk-in get in then? This is new information for me. Sounds like something that needs to be explored. All right, what's everybody saying? All right. It happened to my daughter. My mother in law, oh, see, stepped into my daughter and caught me by surprise. I literally saw my mother right when my daughter bent down to hug me. My mother's face and half her body was next to and half inside my daughter. I cried. Oh, my mother hugged me through my daughter. Oh my God, that is so special. Oh, it was so special. Oh, wow. Yes, Guy. Doesn't it make sense now? Mary, I can't recall that I did that, but I had an active imagination. Mary? Hi, Stacy. Did you hear voices as a child? You guys are talking to each other. Melissa says, my daughter is dark brown and my mother is high yellow. It was so amazing to see the spiritual ability they have on the other side. I'm grateful. I'm able to see spiritual happenings. I have always had that ability, but I was not expecting that. That was very new to me, but loved the experience. My mother came to see me and hugged me. Oh, Melissa, I love that. That is so cool. Okay, hold on, guys. Whew, that is so cool. I need to go to the bathroom, so I'm gonna put this down for a minute. My earpiece, I mean. Check on this. All right, guys. I am making some of my rosemary oil here. Let me see. Show you guys a picture of the. What the hell? Oh, that's the. Yeah, P. Diddy all over here. I don't want him around me. That is my rosemary oil. So please contact me um, at Azon Miracles Candles and just go to tracybrownlive.com. Alrighty now. Oh, wait. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm sorry. Let me just make sure you guys can hear me. I was pointing out my hair oil. Can you guys hear me? Hello? Bluetooth. Oh. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, good. Good. Um, Let me go back. Oh, you guys are talking amongst yourselves. I'm happy about that. I didn't see it here though. Oh, here it is. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so my daughter. Okay, Rhonda says beautiful. Hi, Rhonda. Stacy says, but I always knew what was going to happen in certain situations. I'm like you, Stacy. Always knew. But half the times when I mention it, people are like, "Stop being so negative, Tracy. It's so negative." I'm like, "Am I really negative, or are you guys afraid to hear the truth?" Would this be channeling on another level? Not channeling when it's an invasion. It ain't channeling. It's an invasion. When you channel, you invite the energy in. When somebody just steps in, that's just them stepping in. All right. But if it comes down to taking care of the soul, and if a soul cannot take this earth and just wants to go home, Sky, I would say just go back to God. Like, some of us can't take this. This world is rough. I mean, rough. And many people wind up in circumstances that are way beyond their scope of understanding. Homelessness is way beyond anybody's scope of understanding, and the things that go on. And if some person winds up in that world, maybe you just want to leave. Maybe not everybody can see themselves out. That's just an example, because I also know homeless people that have made it out and tell everybody, I've made it out, and they're able to say how they made it out. But there are some souls that are like, I can't do this anymore. I really think those are souls that didn't want to come here in the first place, right? And so, if there's a soul that needs to do more work here on earth and is more than glad to let a soul go so another soul can enter and maybe do the required work that the original soul did not do the first time, I think that's one of God's methodologies of earth care, human care. And I promise you, a soul that has to leave is welcomed home, even if it's through suicide. Don't think that God is up there judging the, the fact that you committed suicide. That's not the God that I know. He would never do that, right? It's sad for us when someone leaves, but respect the decision. to leave. Look at it that way. And then maybe you all can start living again. Okay? Hold on a second. Ah, my eyes. Ooh, my eyes started itching at that last sentence. Oh, all right. Now, I'll tell you right now, there are souls that I see that ain't real. Hi, Mr. George. So, let alone them jumping inside of people's bodies. Let me see what everybody else has to say. Melissa says Tracy, it happened in the last eclipse. Oh, the whole day was magical. Wow. I had never experienced the effects of an eclipse like that before. So I don't know why last year's eclipse was so powerful. It's significant, spiritual, or natural. But the two somehow was phenomenally impacted in my life. I love that, Melissa. I would love to follow your journey from the point of the eclipse. I would love for you to document what your journey has been like. That sounds beautiful. Sweet Carmel, this is an interesting conversation. When my son was about 6, our dog, his best friend, was hit twice and he watched him die. He became a whole different person. What does that mean, Sweets Carmel? That he became a whole different person? What's the spiritual intonation in him becoming a whole different person? And what did he do when his dog and his best friend that was hit twice? What did he do when he watched the dog die? What is the significant meaning in that experience for your son? Because there has to be one, because your son wouldn't have been there. Um, is he working with animals now? Is he a veterinarian? Does he have a lot of animals since then? My husband and I was just talking about how he changed yesterday, not just emotionally, but his facial features changed as well. Again, I need to ask you, what is the significance of that? Because change is okay, right? And that's a part of your spiritual boundaries. I am allowed to change my facial features, my personality, yada, yada. And the one person that I know who is spiritually changed, and I hope that she understands, but she'll get it because I'm not worried about her. But I watched Kiki change after giving birth. I watched a whole new person walk into her body. She even got a whole new face. So, what's that about? I'm wondering if she had some complications during birth because there could be an opportunity for a walk in as well. All right, that's a great picture. Yes, we can. Oh, my oil. Yes, my oil. Yes, yes, yes. Please order. Um, the orders are growing. People are trusting the oil. It's a simple formula: biotin, rosemary oil, peppermint oil. It's a simple formula, but y'all know I put a little magic in it. Y'all know this. I'm not just making it. Got that magic spoon. So come get your oils, y'all. TracyBrownLive.com. All right. Let me get back to the Company of Prophets picture. I'm thirsty, guys. I really want something sweet, but I never drink anything sweet. Okay. Oh, my favorite new drink now is guava syrup. Okay, for as a sweetener. So uh, I can hear you, says Sky. Yes, we can hear you. Okay, okay. So Sky says, so is a walk in a person whose original soul has left the body and is replaced with the new, different energy soul. Yes. Sky says, so I'm trying to do this in Sky's vernacular. So, would a walk in be a person whose original soul has left their body is replaced with a new, different energy soul? Yes. Yes, Sky. Yes. So, I would think, I don't know, this would be a great challenge for someone, but I would think if a new soul came through, that's the one that speaks in a different language. That's the one that was really quiet, but now can't stop talking. That's the one that is like, let's say you're coming out of an illness, which is how I think these walk ins happen, and you come out and you're like, I used to love French fries, but now I throw up at the sight of French fries. You know, Sky, I would say, listen, this is not my arena, but I would say yes. I would say a walk in, it's almost like the three faces of Eve, right? So I would say a walk in can come in to assist, not just in a violent circumstances, which is how it was described to me when I was a kid, that another soul would come in, take the worst part of the, you know, R or molestation or whatever, and the original soul would retreat for safety. But they would trade places, and the original soul would remember the pain of it all, right? So the answer to your question is, and this is not my arena, but the answer to your question is common sense. So I want to say yes, the souls can be shared. And the reason why I say yes, the souls can be shared, because I've heard of circumstances where people are like, I had an operation and I came back speaking French. Never spoke French a day in my life, right? But can remember things prior to the accident or hospital stay or operation. So I would say yes, that maybe the original soul is not doing or getting where they need to be, and another soul walks in to get that person manifested in their proper space. Someone in my comments made a comment that they found it disgusting that I drink on camera. So I invited her to not look at my show anymore. People need to stop judging. I'm thirsty. And if you do my work, if you do my spiritual work, you are depleted of all your damn energy. And to have some crazy ass lady make a comment about how she finds it unacceptable, oh, finds it unacceptable that I'm drinking on camera. I'm like, man, please leave. Like, do yourself a solid five and say goodbye. It's so annoying. Yeah, but walk-ins, what a fascinating topic, huh, guys? And some of you know what that is. I love that. Look at y'all. And Sky says, cause I'm thinking yes too, that two souls can share a body. I'd have to say yes. Like when I told you, I felt like my mama jumped in. That's two souls sharing a body. I don't like butter pecan. And I'm telling you, I was loving this butter pecan. And I remember loving the butter pecan. And yet there was a part of me that was literally saying, I don't eat butter pecan. As I was loving the butter pecan. I mean, the spirit world got jokes. So I have to say yes. Melissa says, do you think there's a level of like the Sybil story or the movie Split, the several personality syndrome? The question's not clear. Did I believe the Sybil story? Yes, absolutely. That is real. When you're involved in multiple traumas, I believe multiples can come through to help you not deal with the trauma. There was also a movie called Three Faces of Eve, where one woman shared a body with three spirits, and it's really funny with Eve's spirits because one was a sassy harlot, the other one was a librarian type character. It's really funny, right? If you ever read the book, look at the movie. I don't know if the movie was that good, but I saw the movie first, and as God would want it, I read the book, The Three Faces of Eve, and I was shocked to find out that Eve had 16 personalities in her. 16, not three. When they wrote the book, they reduced it to three because they didn't think the public could handle more than three. The story Sybil, that story was disturbing to me, um, because of the amount of abuses this little girl went through and how a spirit would come through to take on the trauma. No, I never saw the movie Split. That's what you were trying to tell me? Or the movie Split? Ugh, if it's gruesome, I can't watch it in my old age, Melissa. You know, the Sybil story was horrifying for me. Horrifying. And the only story that ever came to light that was similar to Sybil were those three girls that were found 10 years later. And their 10 years being suspended off the ground and tied to things. Again, I'm surprised they didn't make that into a story because that's the only other story beyond Sybil that I can imagine being, really bad. So if Split is bad, meaning the spirits got there through some really bad, I don't think I could watch it. So is it bad? Because I understand, like, I don't need to understand it now through hearing a story. Is it a true story or is it fictional? I can't do it. I won't do it. I can't. I'll have nightmares for days. I'm watching a show right now called Always a Witch on Netflix. I have nightmares not nightmares because I understand, um, but I have nightmares every night. The other day, last night, talking about nightmares, I've been having dreams every night about Kate Middleton. And last night I found Kate Middleton. And I said to her, take my hand. And I was giving her life back, meaning I was hoping that she could take the energy that I had and give it to her. So I can tell you right now that Kate Middleton, although I keep pronouncing her name wrong, is very, very weak. I do not believe she is breathing on her own. I feel like if I could get to her, then she must be on the other side as well. Not necessarily dead, but close to it. So I do believe that she is in a coma from my visitation with her last night. And coma is a whole nother world. It's what is the it's another dimension to element, right? Because you're in the ethereal, you're in space, and that's an element. It's the fifth element. Beautiful Baby says there is some belief that multiple personality or schizophrenia would be highly connected, having encounters with the spiritual realm. Yes. The answer to that question is yes, but mental illness is real. Remember that. And for people like you and I that are connected to the spiritual world, remember people treat us like we're weirdos or crazy, right? So when someone has a level of real mental illness and can see spirits, there's that fine line. Are you spiritual or are you having a mental breakdown? So, what I like to do is get to people before the mental breakdown, before the actual diagnosis of schizophrenia. I have a couple of clients right now, and it's very, very difficult. But I have a couple of clients right now who I'm trying to get to understand that their experiences are of the metaphysical world, but they themselves feel crazy. So I have to take some responsibility for them and I have to encourage them to get some medication. Because the problem with having a little bit of mental illness and having experience with the metaphysical world is that the two worlds blend. And because they're not fully prepared to speak eloquently about their experiences, they will say things that make them sound completely crazy, and people will be completely scared of them. The other part of the schizophrenia, however, beautiful baby O, is that schizophrenias always see the dark side. They see dark spirits, dogs tell them to kill somebody, they get dark impressions, and so is it real? Yes. Are they having a metaphysical experience? Absolutely. But when it's not being handled well and they don't know how to take care of it, and that means stop it, then they're having a mental health issue. Because, like most kids that have these experiences, after a while they take control and they don't allow the experiences to come through. That's a metaphysical person. My son did that. He would see spirits all the time, and I'd be like, okay, describe them. And he always saw people in period pieces, right? And even one day he came to me and he goes, okay, Mom, so grandma is here. And I said, which one? Because they both had passed over. And he said, she wears a round hat and she sticks a pin in it. And I said, oh, that's Grandma Flushing. And I said, what does she want me to know? Because at the time I didn't see ghosts, only my son did. And I go, what does she want me to know? And the message he gave me was, Dad is not okay. And I said, okay, I'm on it. And as my son got older, He didn't want to deal with these spirits anymore. So he made them go away. How? I don't know. But one day I said to him, are you still having experiences? Because you haven't mentioned. And he goes, no. And I'm good. And I was like, oh, okay, good. Yeah, whatever. You do you. And one day he was about 30 ish. He had let it go for 10 years. He tried really hard. He had let it go. And one day he was about 30 ish and he goes, ah, they're back. And I was like, what's back? And he goes, oh, the spirits, they're back. And I was like, oh. And I was like, are you okay? And he goes, yes, it's okay that they're back. And I was like, oh, look at you. I'm so happy for you. You know what I mean? So my son, gratefully so, is mentally healthy enough to deal with the spirits. All right. So you have to decide if someone is having a mental health crisis and can be diagnosed with something or is diagnosed with something, and whether someone is power tripping in the metaphysical world but is really having a mental health crisis. And a lot of schizophrenias are having mental health crisis and they deal on the dark side, meaning they will have the evilest of things communicate with them. And it's petrifying. So I got a couple of clients like that. And so I keep trying to get them to understand that they are in control before it gets to the point that they have to be medically treated. But one of my clients is beyond that. He came to me beyond that. I was just trying to get him to understand that he's actually a metaphysical person. But I have had to tell him he's on meds now. And he goes, I don't want to take the meds. I don't want to take the meds. But the more we talked, it was obvious that he needed to stay on the meds. And so I begged him to stay on the meds. All right. Yes, this is very true. Yes, absolutely agree. Yes. Let me see. Melissa says, no, not so much gruesome or gory to me. There are things I don't want because the content is wicked. However, Split was tolerable, but I don't remember any gory per se, but I wasn't disturbed. It was more about the mental capabilities. All right, I'll try it. I'll try it. People have recommended stories. People have in my own group. People have recommended stories, and now I have to tell my group because people have different levels of acceptance. I have no level of of acceptance from my taste, and so they have recommended stories. Sounds great, and then I go to watch it, and I'm like, this shit is fucked up. And so I'll come back to my group, and I'll be like, how I could not tolerate that movie. And then they would laugh. Oh, haha, it's so funny. It's such a good movie. And I realized just people have different, especially younger groups. You guys grew up on gory shit, right? I'm Friday the 13th movie one. I'm that group. The first movie with Jamie Lee Curtis. That's my group. And I didn't watch subsequent movies. I have no idea what Friday the 13th, 10, 11, 12, 25 is like, except they all have the same mask. That's all I know. My point to you is, I've gotten to the point where the imagination runs amok. And so I can't tolerate some things. That's just me. Mary Mitchell. Miss Brown, experience what you are talking about when you're working mental clinics at veterans. Oh, you're saying you have experience. What are you saying? You're abbreviating. I think you're saying you have experienced what I'm talking about when working mental health clinics at the Veterans Hospital. You know, I have to tell you, you're going to get off on a tangent now, I realize. Veterans are the sickest, population in America, the sickest. They are released without mental health care. They went in normal, I promise you. They went in completely normal. They did not come back normal. They went overseas. They were forced. Think about it, guys. I'm going to help you guys with something. They were forced to obliviate homes. What do you think those spirits would do? Think about what I'm trying to tell you. Why wouldn't a spirit jump in a veteran's body to survive? And they come back abnormal. Why is it all the veterans, as of lately, and when I say lately, maybe in the last, since Vietnam, maybe, why have they all come back with PTSD? Why? Why, Mary? Yeah, and you're right, Melissa. Melissa says, I'm married to a Vietnam veteran. They have been put under ultra government mind control. Trust, I know some things that most don't. I believe you. And they're sending back the worst of our men. They are fucked up. Now, what I would like to know is the racial disparity on these fucked up men. Are they mostly black? I personally, you know, think it's a lot of black men. I don't know. Y'all got to let me know. And then they come back, and everyone wants us to honor our veterans. That's the joke in all of this. Honor our veterans, right? But the government doesn't honor them. How do most of them come back and not have a job to come back to? When it was designed that if they go away, their jobs have to bring them back. And if their jobs aren't bringing them back, why isn't there a place for them to get rehabilitated after the government messed them up? I don't know. Don't get me started. Don't get me started because America has been mind fucked into allowing themselves to think that our veterans are doing an amazing job. I can't prove that. I can't say that. I know that they go and obliviate whole neighborhoods in foreign countries, neighborhoods of people that are not participating in the war, children that they are forced to kill. And depending upon the mindset, some folks gladly take on that job and just pop, 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 pop. Yeah, and they're happy about it. Those are all serial killers, but they're in the force, so they get to do what they love to do. And those aren't the black ones, to be honest with you. Why are we getting off on a tantrum? God, I didn't mean that to happen. Stay focused, Tracy. I'm trying to stay focused. Oh my God. Thank you, Sweets Carmel. My dad was a Viet vet. He said he does not recommend it. All my vet friends say the same. Yeah, I bet they do. Yeah. When I was a teen, Creative Soul says, my father was a Vietnam vet. A lot of Vietnam vet people here. I was at her house when her father had a flashback. All those damn flashbacks. It was very scary. Years later, what? Oh, Jesus Christ. Creative soul. Be careful what you say here. Uh, it's horrible because if you didn't retire, the support you get afterwards is minimal. It's terrible. Melissa, you're so right. All right, let's get off the government and Vietnam vets and vets and vets and vets and vets. We absolutely do honor our vets. My dad was a Korean vet, although my dad did not go to war. My dad was a quartermaster in Panama, and the only thing that saved him was rare blood. And you can't go to combat unless you have someone in your platoon that has the same blood as you. And they could not find anyone with B negative blood. So he went on a vacation for 3 years. Lucky me. Oh, don't worry, creative soul. It's an innocent mistake. I agree the care is atrocious. At the VA, the psychiatrists were generally foreigners. Our vets were the majority of black, and I must say there was no care. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but I think the, the onset of, I think it's racially motivated. That's all I'm going to say. But I can't prove it. I have no numbers. This is just a psychic impression from all the clients that I get. All right, I get white and black clients, and most of my black clients are the ones that are having horrific PTSD. Most of them. I'm sure that there are the others, but most of them seem to be black, which I think there is a design in that. That's just me. Now, I do have a favor to ask. I need I need someone that has a Bible that was copywritten earlier than 1940. Who has an old Bible from their grandmama? You know what's so funny? I had two old Bibles, and I thought I packed them. I think ultimately I left them behind. I don't know why I would leave them behind. They're definitely not here. I had two old Bibles. You know the ones that had color pictures of Christ, the white Christ. So I need somebody who has an old Bible, um, copywritten before 1940. What's a 1611? What's 16? What is 1611? Melissa, you're talking in codes. A Geneva Bible speaks about this in Ephesians. 6 King James versions took out the government exposure. I got it. I got it, Melissa. I believe you. I 100% believe you. Thank you, Rhonda. From you have a 16, the year 1611. Melissa, do you have my telephone number? What does it mean I can't see, Melissa? What do you mean, sweetie? Oh, Melissa, you have my telephone number? You have the 213 number or the 818 number? Oh, you don't have my number? All right. Can you email me, tracybrownlive@gmail.com? Need the number. Okay. Just email me. Look on the screen and it says tracybrownlive@gmail.com. Why, beauty baby, I can't eat and was just thinking the same thing. You can't see who? You can't see Melissa? What are you talking about? Hmm. Oh, you guys can't see Melissa? Oh, she's on Facebook? Maybe that's why? She's on Facebook. Maybe that's why, guys. I am not talking to a spirit. Melissa's real. I hope. Oh my God. This is hilarious. Melissa's on Facebook. Yeah. Yeah, you're the only one on Facebook, sweetie. And so everybody else is on YouTube. I, Melissa goes, I am very real and spirit too. Oh my God, this is hilarious. Melissa is real. And she goes, okay, I was wondering why. Yes, you're the only one on Facebook. Everybody else on Facebook listens later. I noticed the pattern of my people. It's hilarious. All right, let's get done here. Let me see the walk ins. The walk ins really took us by surprise a little bit here. Um, I think I'm going to stop here because the walk ins really did something to us today. And I learned something new about walk ins. And I believe I have had walk in experiences but didn't know what to name it. Right? All right, guys. Melissa, contact me at tracybrownlive at gmail. I'm looking for a particular passage in the Bible and see how it's written in something way before. So for you to have the 1611 version or an original version, Melissa, we need to talk. So please contact me. Most definitely. Thank you, Melissa. All right, everyone. Thank you for contributing to the conversation today. Remember, guys, when I do these series, we are not rushing to get anywhere. We are not rushing to learn. We are rushing to the classroom to create a new part of ourselves. And that molding of yourself can take some time. All right. Many of you are well advanced. So the only thing I'm bringing to the table is the ability to speak on it and speak on your experiences and share with others. That's the beauty of this version of gathering, right? And for everyone else, please write in the comments if you have had any experiences like walk ins. Um, um, put it in the comments. I would be so interested in everyone's experiences. Let's learn from each other. Let's grow with each other. Let's talk to each other. All right, guys. Have a great Sunday. I will be back on later because I did hold hands with Kate last night and I asked her to make it and I gave her my energy. And the only time I had that experience um, where I went down to see what was happening, and that was with Whitney's daughter. And I remember mother and daughter standing there looking at me, and Chrissy was clinging with both arms to her daughter, to her mother. So from that experience, I knew that Christina wasn't coming back. But I don't think I announced it so emphatically because I didn't think that was fair to her in case she changed her mind. And when Diana died, I didn't know I had the gift to that extent, but I remember going down. That's the way I perceive my abilities as going. I really mean going in. I went in, and I could not tell you I saw Diana dying. I just begged Diana to make it through. So the most I can tell you about Kate right now is that she's absolutely in a coma. Absolutely. Period. Point blank. She's in a coma. And whether or not she's going to make it through, that I'm not sure about, but I'm going to do a reading on all of that because something's not right. All right, guys, I'm done. Come join me later in a few hours. I'm going to go join Miss Marion, if she wants to. I don't even know if she wants to go anymore, to Home Depot. And I'll be with you guys later. Love you. Bye.
Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.